What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 194 in year 4, and we are recording this on a Wednesday, so if any major news drops on Wednesday and you're curious on why it didn't happen on the podcast, it's because we're recording this early. My niece is graduating tomorrow, so I am going to be very busy, and I will not be able to record on our usual schedule. The podcast all of May has been not recorded properly.
Yeah, it's been all over the place.
Yeah, so if you hear my dog screaming in the background, it is because he's in his kennel and he hasn't pooped today, so I don't want him to poop on the carpet. So you might be hearing him in the background. But other than that, we are going to be diving into a lot of stuff today. There is no comics, something we should point out if you are a comic person that likes to hear our reviews. No comics this week, unless you want to pick up the Pride issue, which is out this week, coming out for Pride Month. Because they're making Ghostmaker Batman or gay Batman. You know, there's always that joke, but he is spoilers. He fucks Catman in that book. So,
and then also a little something that a lot of people have been having fun with. They canonically made Letterbox a DC universe thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of Letterbox.
No,
it's like the new hip thing to do whenever you go see a movie, you rank them, write reviews, you make a whole profile. It's like almost a social media of sorts.
Yeah, another thing for not to care about. Yeah,
but it's for movie reviews. And inside,
I'm sure I have one of those.
In the Pride issue, there is a story with Connor Hawke and Tim Drake.
Yeah, I saw that.
And canonically, Bruce Wayne has a letterbox. So people were freaking out about that. And so I was just like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that story also ends with Drake and that dude, which I thought was really weird because the concept of it is they have to clean up something or whatever because they beat up some people or whatever. And apparently Damian called in Connor Hawke as the backup. And he's like, oh, Damian doesn't like to do the cleanup or whatever. And then it's just kind of like him and Tim Drake and what's his face having a conversation together. Yeah, Connor. Yeah. I didn't know. I'm assuming he's gay. I didn't know.
He's non-binary. Is what they are putting him as. Yeah.
Okay. So they have a conversation. I just saw the ending part when Damian actually shows up and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the diner and share our feelings." And he was like, "I knew I shouldn't have called you guys," or something like that. Or he's like, "I knew I shouldn't have come here." And so I like that they keep Damian's personality the same. He's just still an asshole. And and then it just kind of ends with them going to a diner and hanging out. I don't remember. I dropped off that, the Robin story. So I'm assuming he's a good guy again, Connor. He seemed pretty bad in that story.
Yeah, they brought him back into the family. With us watching Fast 8 or 10 recently. Jesus. But yeah, no, in Green Arrow, they brought him back into the family. He's going to be heavily put into there. I still need to read issue 2 of that came out last week.
Yeah. So if you want to pick up the Pride issue, that's probably the only thing notable. I mean, there is Detective Comics if you want to pick that up, if you're reading that still. Anybody?
I will say this. People who were heavily into reading nothing but Batman, just like us, that we're still trying to be like, okay, I'm still going to read everything Batman. They've dropped Detective. I heard somebody explain it that Ram V is the kind of guy that likes to show how smart he is with his vocabulary. And it's going over a lot of people's heads in Detective. I think he's over explaining a lot of things and into a story that not a whole lot of people are really connecting with.
Yeah. That I flip through Detective every time it comes out. I flip through it. Nothing in there interests me at all. It's still that weird gothic story that's supposed to be an opera or whatever. I think Ram V needs to understand that there are not a lot of people that read comics and go to the opera. And I think he's writing for that crowd, and that crowd is extremely niche.
Yeah, it's he seems like a theater kid, and not to say theater kids can't be nerds, but you should have kept that to an arc.
Yeah.
like a
or a
small little
character,
or a
one
character.
character.
Yeah.
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 And I think that's what people try to do too much. Like when that crazy Wonder Woman story came out where they tried to make it all Nordic or whatever with all the crazy language. I'm like, this is awful. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody talks like this anymore. There's a reason why nobody talks like this anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is a going too far when it comes to trying to be true to, I guess, content, you know? And I do think that some people just missed the mark. Ram V, you know, it sucks because I think he wrote Catwoman so well. He just doesn't know how to write Batman, or at least he had a terrible concept. Yeah. Because I don't know if you ever flipped through the back pages at all of it, but that backstory was actually like, I don't know. There was a girl that ends up kicking Mr. Freeze in the nuts. And like,
oh, that's
I don't know what that story was about, but it was like some weird like character guy. Like it had nothing to do with Batman, from my understanding. It was some random guy that showed up that was like the chosen one or some shit.
We spoke about it like very quickly, but like when I didn't notice it, I flipped through it and I was like, is that supposed to be Nightwing and Barbara? Because I mean, it was long hair and, you know, red hair, and I was just like, what's going on? Yeah, very confusing stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know. So those are the books that are out this week. If you do want to go buy some comics or read some comics, I'd recommend just reading a Batman story you've never read before. Is probably better than the current stuff that's going on. But you know what? We'll have a few things to talk about next week. So come back for that. We'll have Batman 136, I think.
Yeah, 136 and then canonically 901.
Yeah, and legacy numbering. If you need a quote from that, Clay said, "Not Zdarsky's worst book," but I don't think it means much. So, but yeah, so looking forward to that. But let's go on to our first topic of the day, and we're gonna go from the bottom, or we're gonna start with the bottom question first, and that is, it has been said, I think this was from Andy Muscietti himself, was that Ezra Miller will not be recast in The Flash because, and I quote, nobody could play that character like Ezra Miller, apparently.
There were so many people, and I knew this was going to happen as soon as that quote came out. There were so many people that were tweeting or quote tweeting, "Excuse me," and then putting the gift of Grant Gustin. And I'm just like, yes, we understand. You know, we loved Grant for what he was on TV, but this is film. And a lot of people see this as, Ezra's definitely getting recasted. So how do you feel?
Oh, that's what they think?
A lot of people don't take Andy's word for it. A lot of people
no. I have called this from the start. I said he will not be recast unless he kills somebody. I have said that from the start. Because look, it's unfortunate. Because like I know a lot of people are like, but there's like children involved and stuff like that. If you believe like a few of the stories, or I think it's like one story that came out that did say like he was trying to groom someone, right? There was that one story. And then a lot of people are saying that the person that he, you know, kidnapped apparently was also a grooming situation, which again, these are all allegations. None of these are confirmed or anything like that. You know, unfortunately, people have also made I don't want to say technicality, but I feel like it's the best word here, is that person was 18, right? And in America, if you're 18, you make your own decisions, yada, yada. So you can't really bring charges against that one. And it also seems like, I think in a court of law, he was like close with the family of that 18-year-old, because there's like photos with him and all that kind of stuff, which were the weird photos of him wearing a mask and he had like guns and stuff, which was very odd. You know, in a court of law, they'd be like, well, y'all look like y'all were family friends, right? Like, I feel like a lawyer could easily be like, it doesn't make sense. They were friends, yada, yada. That's why those photos exist, yada, yada. And the only thing, like, there's nothing besides his actual videos of him getting arrested for, like, being drunk or whatever, or being on drugs or whatever he was. There's no hardcore evidence of anything else, right? Everything else is allegations. Yeah. And so Hollywood's going to be like, hasn't been convicted of anything, so who cares? And we know Hollywood's got a lot of bad actors. So,
well, especially most recently,
Mm-hmm.
since he hasn't been getting in trouble, what have we heard? Oh,
Yeah.
Ezra is, doing his best to get his act together.
Yeah.
Ezra is in therapy. Ezra is and making all of these like better quote unquote
Yeah.
choices for their career. And I wish the best. I honestly do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only way I can see him not getting recasted is, and I said this in the Discord, I think it was Kid Stu that made the comment of like, oh, what he said, I take this as there won't be a sequel to The Flash. They'll just do Wally or wait a few years and reboot the character.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it would be very interesting if James Gunn just did a Flash movie with Wally
Mm-hmm.
and everybody be like, where's Barry? Where's Barry? Where's Barry? And that just be the question
Yeah.
in the DCU. And then all of a sudden, instead of doing what Rebirth did with Wally in the most recent 2016 reboot
Mm-hmm.
of the DC Comics, you can go back to Jeff Johns' original Flash Rebirth, where Barry came back from the dead,
Yeah.
and just make it to where like, and just switch it and reverse it for what they did in the 2016 Rebirth, where Barry was lost in the Speed Force.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the original lineup of the Justice League like animated series and have Wally as the Flash.
Yeah.
And then several years down the line, bring back Barry. And I think that would be very interesting to see on screen.
If this movie is rated as high as they're saying it's going to be rated or whatever, and it does well at the box office, I don't think it's going to be $1 billion movie. But if it does well, like positive box office, I don't see how you recast him.
Yeah,
I just don't see it.
and
also,
the rest of the quote did say like, for potential sequels, they don't want to recast him.
Yeah. So my thing is, if Andy Muschietti was going to come back, he probably wouldn't want to recast. He's like, no, I already worked with him. I wouldn't want to recast. So are you going to risk losing your director? If this movie does do so well, I don't think so. Yeah. Also, continuity wise, you're probably not going to want to do it because again, Speed Force. Because we could sit here and be like, oh yeah, well, Flash is going to change everything, and it's going to make sense why Ben Affleck is not, he's younger now, whatever. Again, the speedsters are not affected by that kind of change because they're the ones doing it. So he is the one character that wouldn't make sense to change the way he looks.
Yeah.
The only way I think you would have been able to get away with it is if you were literally replacing him with Grant Gustin. That is the only way I think it works and makes canonical sense because he's shown up on the CW TV show before. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know what would happen there, but anyways, I don't think he gets recast. I think a lot of people, again, I think this is the opposite side of the coin. Like, how Snyder bros think they're going to get the Snyderverse still. People that hate Ezra Miller think he's going to get recast. I think that's the other side of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are both living in, again, I've had to eat these words before, but I think it's delusional. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's going to happen. It's a pipe dream, as my famous quote is. So we'll go with that. But speaking of Muschietti, and maybe this might be the reason of why they do recast, and maybe he won't do a Flash sequel. Is he going to be directing the new Batman movie, The Brave and the Bold? Which I still don't believe that movie is going to just be called The Brave and the Bold. It's going to be called Batman, The Brave and the Bold. And DC needs to call it Batman, The Brave and the Bold to learn from their mistake of what they did with Birds of Prey. You cannot just throw a name out there without a title connected to it. It should have been, from the start, should have been Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, not Birds of Prey. Yeah. And so they need to learn from that mistake, and they need to attach the name Batman to that movie. But Andy Muschietti had a clip that came out recently. I don't know what were they premiering? Was it The Flash?
It was The Flash. It was I can't remember what screening it was, whether it be in the UK or whatever. But there was a red carpet for The Flash somewhere. And I believe it was a Variety interviewer, very famous, goes to almost every red carpet there is. And very cheekily, I will say this: he does not say, "Will you be directing Batman: Brave and the Bold?" He says, "You worked with Keaton, you worked with Affleck. How would you make your Batman? How would you make your Batman bravely and boldly?" And kind of insinuating, "Hey, are
Yeah.
you directing Brave and the Bold?" So he asked him without asking him, and I think that's like one thing that people aren't really getting clear with the
Yeah.
quote. But I thought it was clever. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, it's kind of asking him, hey, how would you make your Batman? And hey, are you directing this movie? Both at the same time. And I thought that was really, really good as an interviewer. And Andy says, "Oh, I can't speak to that yet."
Yeah. Yeah,
So
his
what do you
actual
think?
quote is, "I don't think I can talk to that yet." And
Okay,
now
yeah,
if
yeah.
you watch the video, he doesn't like do it in a way where it's like, "Oh yeah, I can't talk about that yet." Like it's not like that. It's just a straight line. And so I think it being a straight line makes it more interesting that he's possibly the director, because maybe he doesn't know if that news has gotten out, right? I
Yeah.
feel like some people don't stay on social media the way we do, And so he's like, "Oh, has that been announced? Like, has James Gunn said anything like that? I don't really know." And hearing said, "I don't think I can talk about that yet," is, I would say it leans more towards, "Oh, I have an NDA. I can't talk about the Batman. Like, I can't say anything
Yeah.
like that right now." And
Yeah.
so that I get more of that vibe, because why would you include it yet unless you're working on something else with the Batman? You know?
Yeah.
So like I just don't understand that. Unless he's like, unless in his brain, because I have always taken into consideration that people just don't understand things the same anymore, and everybody has their own way of interpreting things. He could be under a situation where, or he could have been thinking it in a way where he's like, "Oh, well, I can't say anything because I don't want to give away spoilers for the Flash. Like, I would have done this in the Flash, but we couldn't do that because I had to have Batman do this, Like,
Yeah.
could have been something along those lines, and we're just overblowing it. But I kind of think that, they probably already saw his vision and what he did with the Bat Cave, with all the Bat gadgets, the Bat suits in this movie. And they're like, "Dude, you need to direct The Brave and the Bold,
Yeah.
And like I said, who turns down a Batman movie? You know what I mean? Besides being a dumbass like Ben Affleck. You know what I mean? Like, who turns down a Batman movie? And I still don't think Ben Affleck would have been the best director for a Batman DCU movie. I don't think he would have been the best director. Because I think
Yeah,
he would have tried to been like Snyder.
well, and that was the thing. We had said, what other movies do you think he would be best at, when we first heard inklings of him
Yeah.
possibly being in a director's chair with James Gunn's DCU. I totally agree with that. And in Andy's aspect, I totally agree with the idea of, yeah, like there's a lot of things going on right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Gunn has been smart and making his world, his universe, and showing how the studio should be run. So
Yeah.
I think he's gonna tell multiple directors,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, you can't talk about this."
Yeah.
Like, they may be attached to something way down the line, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, you can't talk about Batman.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I would take it as I think he's there. If I had to make a bet, like 80% chance that he's directing it. Um, I just don't, who would be next in line? Like, who are you getting besides him after this?
Um, I mean, other than your worst pick,
Yeah.
as we will get to later.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think that, I mean, a lot of people want what's his name that's directing Mission Impossible to do Superman. That's
Mm-hmm.
clearly not happened. So,
Yeah.
Christopher
McCurry or
yeah,
McCurry?
yeah,
McQuarrie.
McQuarrie.
Yeah.
Um
I don't need
don't
him
know
directing Batman.
don't know how I would feel about him doing a Batman film,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he would be able to give it justice. Just don't know how I feel about it right now,
Yeah.
you know?
He's done the Mission Impossible stuff too much that I'm like, I don't need that. I don't want him, because he's gonna do a lot of big stunts, I feel like. because I think that's his MO now, working with Tom Cruise so much. And I don't need big stunts in Batman. Like, I just need cool shit in Batman. You know what I mean? Granted, stunts can be cool, but if you ever watch one of those Tom Cruise stunts, they're very long-winded at times.
They are. And I would say, like, I think I would appreciate more of the practicality
Yeah, that would
and
be
Christopher
nice.
McQuarrie stuff for Batman. That would be
Yeah.
really cool.
But here's the thing. I think when it comes to Batman, those long, wide shots that they do for Mission Impossible, where he's flying off mountains or flying out of a plane or stuff like that, doesn't really work with Batman as much, in my opinion, because it's going to give off fucking Batman Rises vibes and stuff like that. And I
Well, I
don't
was
want that.
gonna say there would be a lot of comparisons to Arkham Knight, like, gliding over the city and a
Yeah.
lot of stuff like that, which I think a lot of people would like, but we don't need too much of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too. If he is going to bring in practicality, he's probably be like, all right, how do we actually make him fly? And then we're going to get the fucking air mattress suit again
Oh,
from
no.
the Batman, And I don't want that. Muschietti's already like I said, the Flash trailer is the first trailer in a long time for a superhero movie that's gotten me excited. And I'm like, damn, that Batman looks cool. Like, he's doing Batman-y shit. You know what I mean?
I want to tell the audience that's listening right now, Juice has been very faithful to his word, saying he wasn't going to watch any
Yeah.
other trailer. We were stuck in a theater watching Fast 10, and literally 0.5 seconds of a Flash trailer came up, and he says, "This is the new Flash trailer," and he covered his eyes and tried to cover his ears,
Yeah,
and he's like, "This is too loud. I can hear
Yeah.
everything, but I'm still not going to look." He
Yeah.
hasn't seen anything.
Yeah. I had to
So,
turn off Monday Night Raw Monday. I had to turn it off because they were sponsored by The Flash.
oh
And so
shit.
I turned it off and I was like, fucking shit. So, because they're like, what? Because like they were sponsored by Fast and the Furious like 2 weeks ago or whatever. They're like, and every commercial break, they're like, check out this new clip from Fast X. And I'm like, fuck, are they going to do that with Flash? I was like, I'm done. I was like, turn this shit off. So yeah, I haven't seen nothing. I have not seen shit. I have like started avoiding websites that are like, oh yeah, the Flash. I'm like, nope. Something else. I saw something else pop out that I was just like, fuck, I can't click on that because I know it's going to be Flash related. And so, yeah, no, I've been trying to avoid everything because I mean we're 12 days away. So I mean we're so close. Like I don't want to have anything spoiled for me. So definitely trying to avoid everything at all costs. But yeah, I think he's already shown that he knows the tone and vibe of Batman, at least from what I've seen in the trailers. That looks way more exciting of a Batman, I'd be curious on how he would handle the suits and stuff, like what he would design or like what he would approve. But he's already got like some type of his own Batwing. He's using all the old school stuff that people like already, right? But I can only imagine like, oh, what would he do if he had his own Batman? If he had his own, like, would he go back to like, I feel like he'd be the first one, because nobody's done this in a long time, to give us like a Batman ocean scene where there's like a bat boat. You know what I mean? Because we only had that once.
Yeah.
And so like maybe have an action scene on the water. That'd be kind of cool. I don't think we've seen that from Batman in a hot minute.
Yeah, no, not since the 90s.
Yeah, so I think that we can get a bat boat going on in there. Of course, he's going to do the plane thing. That'll be how he gets around fast. And then I'm pretty sure, I feel like he'd probably give us a sleeker looking Batmobile instead of a fucking hot rod. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I think he's the best pick because aesthetically, what he's done with it and what he's done with the Flash so far, like, I think it looks great. So, because I think he's been somebody, he's one of those directors that, like, I didn't know who he was for the longest time, and I didn't need another It, in my opinion. I grew up on the one that terrified me when I was a child. I was like, we don't need a fucking remake of It. And he proved me wrong. I was like, God damn, that remake was awesome. And so he's on my list right now of like, whatever he's doing, I'm down to check it out because he hasn't disappointed so far. So if he wants to jump into the Batman boat, I am down. So, but we'll wait and see, right? I would assume after the Flash, like if the Flash, let's say the Flash does go positive in the first week or two, and it's going like doing really well, I wouldn't be surprised if Gunn came out and said like, I'm glad you guys are liking the Flash. You'll be seeing, him again in The Brave and the Bold. You know what I mean? or not the Flash, but like Andy Muschietti. Like I hope they like in the Flash. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened because the ball's got to get rolling on that pretty soon. Like if somebody's not already writing that, which Tom King maybe, who knows?
I would say it's multiple. I would say if this is getting as big as they say, the Flash, I think it's Christina and King.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Do you think she gets the writer credit or are they both? Do they do double writer credits in Hollywood? I don't really check that much. I'm assuming they do.
It depends on how much each one writes. I think there's certain rules, I remembered most of it from like the whole thing with Zack Snyder and Justice League and all of that. I think it's 75% gets the writer's credit, but I don't know how you can share 75% of writing,
Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting. The one thing I will say is I'm curious to see how Tom King would write movies because I think some of the quips he does work well in comics. I don't think they work well in movies, depending on the delivery.
Well, especially if you've been following our reviews of Danger Street. The quips in there have not been hitting us as hard as anything else he's written. I think that he's definitely gonna need somebody like a Christina or even Gunn, because Gunn is a writer as well. I think that he's gonna overlook a lot of different things, and I don't think we need to worry too much about the comedy of things and the lack thereof. I'll say both.
I was just thinking about it now. Since King is on the writer's room, I feel like James Gunn should be like, hey, write me a Human Target movie, but change out the characters. Like, write your story, but change out the characters so we can introduce more. Actually, you could introduce a majority of those characters in that story already. Because who are the ones that are already going to have movies? Batman?
The Green Lantern Corps. In Human Target, you saw Guy and Hal.
Yeah. Nort.
And Nort, yes. Yeah.
Nort would automatically be Seth Rogen, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if Nort laughed in that, but Nort. You know what? It would actually be Nort, or do you know that podcast, Two Bears? The Two Bears podcast or whatever.
I've heard about it.
With Tom Segura and, oh my God, what is his name? The other guy, not Tom Segura, but his co-host. I forget his name. The guy that seems like he's gonna die any day now, because he's so crazy. He has a movie coming out. Okay, you've probably seen the trailer. It's he's like a spy.
I see them.
Like
I see them all over on TikTok. Their podcast is everywhere.
Yeah. So the other guy, oh man, what is his name? Ben Burn. I don't know what his name is, but I think he would probably be a good Nort as well. Which would be funny. But yeah, I don't know. I would just do a Human Target movie if you wanted to introduce a lot of characters, right? That's like a good, not even an Elseworld story, because you don't need Human Target to continue after that with that story. Like, it could be a one-shot movie, which I think would be really cool. But yeah, because again, I've never heard of Human Target before Tom King's series, and I feel like I know a lot about that character now, just reading that book. And I think that's a good way to do stories. So I'd be interested in seeing that kind of movie. But anyways, going on from that, we got the Andy Muschietti stuff out of the way. The next thing is going to branch off into two different things. So this comes from a rumor, right? A rumor mill. So this is a grain of salt. There is no confirmation on this.
Everything having to do with the DCU, Gunn has said, hey, if it's not from me, it's bullshit. But I know from following the scoopers that I follow, knowing some of the A tier and S tiers, having very few conversations with some of them, that they have reliable sources.
Yeah.
So I will take everything that they say with a grain of salt anyway. So knowing that it's also with the DCU, I kind of have to take it with even more of a grain of salt. Yeah. Because Gunn has been so heavy on talking, kind of canceling out the bullshit that's been all over the DCU rumors. So that's where all of this is coming from.
Yeah. And this rumor in regards to is that Clayface is going to be getting a movie. And from our understanding, the person that is going to be directing that is Mike Flanagan. We've talked about this on the podcast before. And Flanagan himself came out on Twitter and was like, hey guys, I was like, this is just a pitch for a movie. And if you hear anything, like if this happens, I will tell you myself if it's happening. Now, granted, if this has been greenlit, they're going to be like, you can't talk about it.
I was just gonna say, you said it about Andy Muschietti.
Yeah.
You could clearly say the same thing with Flanagan.
Yeah.
With him having an NDA, not being able to say anything.
Yeah. So, but that's not really the biggest thing. Mike Flanagan, if I'm not mistaken, has done a lot of horror movies.
Yes.
Which was what was the sequel to? Because that's what he's big for, right? He did the sequel to The Shining, which was with Obi-Wan Kenobi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was
52nd Street or some weird thing.
No. It was Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. I don't know why I said 52nd Street.
Was the one that came out in 2019. He did The Haunting, which was a series, The Midnight Club, another movie, The Haunting on Hill House, and then Midnight Mass. Like, he's done a lot of horror stuff.
Yeah. So we assume his pitch is to make a horror Clayface movie. Now, I automatically thought this was going to be the DCU. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't want DC villain movies. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Clay was like, no. This is an Elseworld or would be a part of the Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't care. Instantly just didn't care once I heard that information. I was like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Because I just want, I like that the Penguin's getting a spinoff. I don't need that universe to continue that much.
Well, we know that, but we also know that it was a really big article that came out a couple months ago that like Scarecrow was like being thought of, Professor Pig, and Clayface. Those were the three names that really came up in conversation with the article that, hey, the Reevesverse is expanding and these villains are being considered. When it comes to Clayface, I think Clayface is it's hard to say underrated nowadays because in the most recent years, too many people have said, oh, he's underrated.
Yeah.
It's now become, okay, he's rightly rated, but underrepresented.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so I think we need Clayface, whether it be in the Reevesverse and or in the DCU. I think I could take both. Because I think he does need to be represented, and I think more rogues within Batman need to be represented other than the famous five,
Yeah. I just don't think Clayface's first debut should be in the Reevesverse.
Which I can give you that because again, a lot of people who aren't big fans of Batman will go see this movie, right?
Yeah.
And we'll see that it's freaking master in disguise and have just somebody like changing outfits and stuff. And then, we finally get to see him in his true form in the DCU and people are like, that's not how he's supposed to be. And that's just going to be super frustrating,
Why? I think it's going to be, you still can't do Clayface in the Reevesverse. Like, you just can't. The only thing he can do is, he's going to be a master disguise, which doesn't work. He's going to be putting his like putty nose on and stuff like that. Oh yeah, let me do this. Like, I just don't think it works. I hope he doesn't get a movie. I'm sorry.
Now, and again, I think that it even becomes even more convoluted for the Reevesverse if he decides, oh, I'm finally going to go into the supernatural stuff.
Yeah. No, we've talked about that. Has been our biggest talking point since day one of seeing the Batman, that you can't do the supernatural because it doesn't make sense tonally. Now, the fans of the Batman are going to be like, no, man, did you not see the eye technology? Like, that's not believable. I would be shocked if something like that does not exist already and we just don't know about it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people would be like, I call bullshit. Have you not seen how well cameras were back in like the 50s from like spy satellites and shit like that. Like they were crazy detailed. And you're telling me the government doesn't have like 50 years of advanced technology right now, and fucking Apple's beating them out? Like that's just not happening. I'm sorry. Granted, I did see I follow PewDiePie on Instagram. I don't know what fucking phone he has, but holy shit, the camera on his phone was fucking insane. He was like on the top of like a tower in Tokyo, and it like zoomed all the way down to the street, and it was clear as fuck.
Oh, see, when we were working together, we oh shoot, I forgot his name. Adrian was really big into the tech stuff.
Yeah.
And he was always getting new phones. And he told me about this phone, and I saw it on a video that he showed me, and they had like a 200 max like zoom. Yeah. And I think that's the phone you're talking about.
I mean, that was years ago though, so it's probably better than that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, it was the quality was insane. So like I don't know. Technology is a lot easier for me to believe than somebody that transforms into clay. You know what I mean? Like we are starting to make like when I saw technology that an amputee can have like their neurons or whatever be connected to a robotic arm and they can move the fingers of the robotic arm, I'm like, yeah, technology is going to be able to do anything. Like it's insane to me. Fucking Barbara Streisand cloned her dogs, like if I'm not mistaken. So like I don't put technology. I find it very believable until I see somebody transform into clay or do the Alex Mack thing where she goes under a fucking door because she turns into a puddle like Terminator 2. Then I will believe. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's believable. But until then, I don't think you can do that tonal shit in the Batman. And it's why I don't want to see the Reeves verse have Clayface. Now, here's the thing. Also, with Mike Flanagan doing horror, wouldn't like, because I feel like if you are going to try to do a somewhat realistic, but with still having Clayface abilities, the iconic scene that's going to happen, right, is somebody's going to be talking to Clayface. They're going to be in a room together. It's going to be shadowy at night or whatever, maybe in a dark alley. And this person's going to have like feel comfortable with Clayface. And then Clayface is going to do the thing where he turns around and his face transformed from big to small, like every iconic horror film, right? But it's going to be believable because, oh, he can transform his body into a big clay monster. That seems more like you would do that in a normal Clayface movie. You know what I mean? I don't know. Granted, I don't think Clayface eats people. So I don't know why like you wouldn't eat the person.
Eats people, but like I feel like I've seen and or read a Clayface story where like he engulfs them in freaking the one that we watched the one that we read. He was like almost like consuming them. You know, he would cover them with his clay. Like that is very like stereotypical of a horror genre with that kind of play on it. And I think it could work, but yeah, I would most definitely want to see the actual gooey clay form of like the supernatural DCU that we're gonna get.
Yeah. So yeah, I just don't. Again, I mean, we'll continue. I just don't think it works in the Matt Reeves verse. If you want to give me a Clayface Elseworld story that's not connected to the Reeves verse, fine, I'll take that. But connecting it to the Reeves verse, I'm just not cool. What do you think is going to be the first Elseworld movie that's not connected to anything? That's just a stand. You can't count Joker. That's before.
I mean, Gunn said the World War II Superman movie is still in the works.
Oh, yeah, but didn't we kind of say like that was a nice way of him being like, oh yeah, I mean, you know, if it's good enough, like yeah, it would be down. Like it was more of a like that ain't gonna fucking happen, but it could.
Maybe. I'm not gonna say Gunn is a liar. But you know, it definitely felt like that when we read it the first time.
If you said it, you get a lot of brownie points with the Snyder Bros. Because remember, he said Ben Affleck was into directing a movie.
Oh,
and he's a bold-faced liar. I don't know why they connect that, and that's automatically connected to the pedophile jokes. I've seen that. Like it's so ridiculous.
So weird.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, I don't know what see I need, just because the meme nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
I need a t-shirt that has James Gunn's face
Mm-hmm.
with the meme, what is he cooking,
Yeah.
for the DCU. Like that's I want that shirt.
I think Red Sun is going to be the first thing, and
Really?
I think it'll be Henry Cavill. I think they'll bring him back for that because it doesn't matter.
No
It
way.
doesn't matter. Like it's Elseworld.
I mean, he is in good graces with WB still, apparently.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
just
not
saw the
see?
Flash.
He saw the Flash. Yeah. There were so many people so pissed off at this dude.
Oh
He's
my
like,
god.
they were like, how would he ever see the Flash? Like,
Yeah.
do you honestly think they would let him see the Flash after everything that they did to him? And do
Yeah.
you think he would honestly want to see it after everything they did to him? I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, he's an actor. He gets invited to so much shit.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? And he's a nerd.
Yeah.
Why not? Like,
It's also like, I mean, I don't want to say he's friends with Ezra Miller, but he's an acquaintance of his, right?
exactly.
So who knows? He's a nerd though. Yeah, I mean that's what it is, right? Like, why wouldn't a nerd go watch that? I mean, so I don't know. I think people need to stop assuming stuff about Henry Cavill because I feel like Henry Cavill has broken down every stereotype that's ever been associated to him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I don't know if it's a real thing, but like I constantly see the headline that Henry Cavill says he has more fun staying at home. Like he feels like an introvert. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, and like he loves playing fucking video games and on his PC and doing Warhammer collectible shit. Like he seems like a Joe Manganiello kind of
Yeah.
guy. Like
Yeah.
they would probably play D&D together, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Cavill has a residency here in America. He probably stays in London, right? Or like Europe, because isn't that where he's from? He's British, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. I
The
don't think he
UK. I'll
has a
say the UK.
yeah, I don't think he has a residency in America. No.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I don't know. I would put money on Red Sun. I still think they should do fucking Thriller Killer though. That would be my favorite if I had a quote. Like if I
Yeah.
got a wish to do an Elseworld, I'd be like, do Thriller Killer, because that shit's fire. But yeah, going on from that, from the possible Clayface movie in general, should we have villain movies in the DCU? Now, in the Discord, I said, I don't want them. I don't want them unless you are going to be including that superhero that they usually face off against in that movie. So we flip the movie where the hero is the antagonist. So that way
Yes.
we could still root for the hero if we want to.
Yeah.
Because I just fucking hate this whole new idea of like, let's make villains have heart. And like, I understand giving villains a motive. That's fine. But like, let's make them relatable. I don't want to relate to a villain. I
Yeah,
don't want
no,
to.
like the bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go and this may. I don't even know if this is where it started, but I think this is where it's seen the heaviest.
Yeah.
The whole bullshit that Dwayne the Rock Johnson tried with
Yeah.
Black Adam, bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't need that.
Like this idea that villains can't be villains and they have to be heroes, bullshit. No, villains can be villains. Do you know why? The Joker. The Joker is a fucking villain. He's a menace to society, and that movie made $1 billion fucking dollars, and it's getting a sequel.
Yeah.
Villains can be villains. I think the one that did it best, and I don't know if you would agree with me, but I believe it was the Suicide Squad animated movie where we follow the Suicide Squad, and then at the very end, fucking Batman shows up out of nowhere, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was an awesome movie because it was unexpected. You just see you're following the Suicide Squad throughout the entire thing. And so I'm thinking, this is a Suicide Squad movie. That's fine. And then out of nowhere, Batman shows up and they're fighting Batman. You're like, oh shit, who the fuck do I root for? I've been following these guys and I see why they're all doing what they're wanting to do. They have a mission. But here comes the actual hero, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Suicide Squad works well because it's bad guys going after bad guys.
Yeah.
That's why it works. So it's like, okay, I got to pick the lesser of two evils, and these bad guys have personality. So I want to go with them, you
Yeah.
know? But if Batman shows up, you're like, oh, fuck yeah, Batman's here. Like, hell yeah. And so I think that's why that works, right? But I don't need a villain going after another villain. Like, well, that's contradictory. But like, I don't care for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Suicide Squad works because a government agency, now we can get into if you think the government's a villain or not. I think everybody has their opinions on that. But we have like Amanda Waller, who she's fighting for freedom or fighting to care for America, using bad people to go after somebody worse, right? I don't care for like Penguin to go after Two-Face.
I was gonna say you wouldn't be 100% for a Lex Luthor movie.
Yeah,
that is going after Toyman.
Yeah,
right.
I wouldn't care.
Yeah,
unless you're throwing in Superman. So unless you're building that up and you're going to surprise me with Superman destroying it or like, you know, ruining both of their plans, like Lex loses and Toyman loses, then I'm like, okay, cool. I'll get on board with that. But that's why I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the Penguin, because I don't care to root for the Penguin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I care for Batman. I care for Robin. You know, everybody else that's going to be in that universe, even Catwoman, even though she's more of like an anti-hero in that universe. I don't care to root for the Penguin. Now, granted, I don't mind hearing his story, but I need you to remind me that he's not a good guy. And I don't like, so that's why I don't want to like, I don't want to end up feeling like emotionally like, oh my God, I'm connected. Everybody's gonna be like, well, what about fucking Breaking Bad? What about Breaking Bad? I'll be the first person to tell you here. I think Breaking Bad's a good show. I don't suck its dick like everybody else does. Like, I don't think it's the greatest show ever made.
And let's be completely honest. In Breaking Bad, Walter White didn't become a villain. Spoilers for a 10-year-old show.
Yeah.
Walter White didn't become a villain until maybe the 3rd season. Like,
my timeline's really off. I don't know. Maybe late second.
Maybe the end of the 2nd season.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Maybe the end of the 2nd season was really when the turn started to happen.
Yeah.
And so for like in the DCU or the DC universe, villains are villains.
Yeah.
Like we've never in my lifetime, I don't think I have seen a new character become a villain and stay a villain. You know? Like I think we've seen people like walk the edge and then walk back and like all these other things.
Red Hood.
Exactly. But we've never seen somebody like start off as a nobody, then turn into a villain and then stay a villain.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I necessarily need that right now. Would I be okay with kind of like you were saying in the sense of like having a hero thwart the plans or whatever?
Yeah.
But like Disney Plus, they're doing these like special presentations, which are not necessarily a full-length movie, but not necessarily like a 30-minute special. It's more like a 45-minute to maybe an hour and 15. It all depends on what they're choosing to do with it. But like mini specials, and those would be kind of like your annuals in the DC universe. I would be okay with that. Getting a little context to a story that they're building up on.
Yeah. And to go back to the Walter White thing, like we started off the way you're able to relate with Walter was that he was he had cancer, and he was only doing that to protect his family or to provide for his family after he was inevitably going to die, right? That's what he thought. And so you could relate to that. But like, how do I relate to the Penguin, a guy that has been just destroying everybody in his way to get to the top, you know? Like, and I think you can do flashbacks and stuff like that, but I just don't necessarily think it works because at the end of the day, I know that the person I'm rooting for is Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I know Batman's going to beat you. Like, I'm just like, eventually, like, you're going to get too big and he's going to come after you. Now, granted, that doesn't mean that the Penguin can't be a good show. Like, the Penguin could be awesome. We've watched plenty of shows that involve bad people, right? But they always have a good element to them. Like, a lot of crime shows have cops, right, that are trying to do the good thing. Or they have like task force or whatever. Like in Breaking Bad, if we're just gonna keep continuing that. You had what was his name? Hal? What was the brother-in-law's name? Was it Hal? Or I forget his name. Detective.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, whatever. The bald guy. man, it's gonna drive me crazy now. It's tangent yesterday. I was at Barnes and Noble looking at manga and fucking because they have this huge section. I overheard these two girls talking, right? And they were like, "Yeah, so have you read this one? It's like I don't know what they call it, but like it's like that thing when there's two different worlds interacting with each other, and then the girl was like." Two worlds or like they were just like throwing things back, right? These are younger girls too. But like I was there looking at manga and I was just hearing this conversation and I walk by them and I'm like, I'm sorry that I was overhearing your conversation. I think you're thinking about multiverse. And they were like, yes, oh my God, thank you so much. It would have driven me crazy. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, I knew what you were talking about and I figured I'd let you know. And
That's
so
awesome.
like, yeah, that shit was funny. Because because look, when you go out, people hear your conversations, ladies and gentlemen. It's what happens. And you know what? If you're stuck on something and somebody wants to provide that question, that's cool. I immediately got out of there though, because you can overstay your welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I had this happen at the Royal Rumble. We were chatting. There was this guy like a row or two in front of us, would not shut the fuck up and kept butting into our conversation. And we were kind of like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, do it once, that's fine. Twice, okay, you're on the line. 3 times, you overstep the line. Stop listening to our fucking conversation, you know? But yeah, I just thought that was funny because that happened yesterday. But yeah, I don't know. I will watch anything with villains, but I do think I don't want them in the DCU, you know? I think we've tried it too much already, and it's been hit or miss too much. It's not a lot of like hits, you know, in my opinion. Yeah. And so unless Batman's going to be involved in a Clayface movie, I don't care. Or whoever else you want to think of. Like if you're going to make a Mongol movie, I want Superman in there at some point. You know what I mean? I don't need them to be the star of the movie, in my opinion. I don't know. Here, again, I just want to clarify this too. I'm down to eat my words. Do them, and if they come out good, I'll be like, fuck, I was wrong. I have no problem with that. Same thing happened with the Joker. I always clarify that. Yeah. I did not want the Joker. Never thought we needed it. They did it. I'm like, damn, fuck, I got proven wrong. And I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. I don't care. I don't know why people are so need to be right all the time. You know what? Prove me wrong all day long. As long as we're getting good shit, that's all I care about. Yeah. But I think that's everything we have, right? There is something I do want to talk about. If I did hit on the topics, I don't have them pulled up here. Let's see.
Well, you're talking about villains.
Yes. Go for it.
So, you shared this, I believe, yesterday. Was the fact
it was yesterday.
Sam Raimi, I'm not entirely sure what he was promoting or why he was doing interviews.
They were in Austin for like some con or some shit, I think.
Oh, Texas Frightmare weekend.
Yeah.
And they asked him, hey, if you were to do something in the DCU, or if you were to do Batman, they asked him specifically, if you were to do Batman, what was the one villain that you would have Batman fight against? And he said, well, Ra's al Ghul. And you retweeted this and you said, I don't want Sam Raimi going anywhere near Batman now.
Yeah, I don't.
And I just thought that was like an absolute. And so I had to, when people write absolutes, I'm like, all right, I'm fighting against this no matter what. Like it may be something I agree with, but because you put it as an absolute, I'm going to be the devil's advocate. And I want to argue.
Yeah, no, I know that feeling. Yeah.
So I was like, why? Like, why would you say that? And you said that you don't need Ra's al Ghul as a villain again.
No.
I totally agree because we would be hypocritical if we were to say, oh, that's fine, when we're saying, oh, we just keep getting the same villains over and over again, right? And I had said that the one thing that I'm truly scared of, even with Andy Muschietti, if he is in fact the brave and the bold director, he chooses some of the same 5 villains again.
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn it. Like, we're getting so close to like comic book accurate Batman and all these other things. We just want to see more Batman villains and not more of the same. And so I completely agree with you, but I disagree with you on Raimi on Batman still. I still think it might be a good idea.
I don't want him. I just don't. I saw parts of Multiverse of Madness and like he does the creepiness good. It could have been way better though. And that could have been Marvel trying to dial him back. I thought the implosion of what's his face's head was so fucking lame. It should have exploded. I hated that it imploded. If they would have allowed blood and that shit exploded, I would have been like, oh fuck. I would have been hyped. But they did a fucking flat basketball, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of lame. Now, granted, I don't think that's how it works in science. I'm assuming his head would explode.
I would assume that it would explode. If something in your something in your brain literally explodes, pops, I think your whole skull is going by. Like it's not caving in. I think it's going outward.
Yeah. So like, I mean, if people put enough pressure on your head, I don't think it goes inward. I think it goes outward. The pressure's got to escape, right? Like I think that's. I didn't do well in science, but I'm pretty sure that happens. You fucking blow air into a basketball.
It's like a grape, dude.
Yeah,
you just pop a grape.
So yeah, I didn't like that, but I don't know, man. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking like crazy debate it because like Raimi did the Spider-Man movies. I enjoyed those, but I was also a child. So like I'm not gonna like live off of that 100%. I just if you tell me that's the first thing you want to do is Ra's al Ghul out of everything, you're already on my shit list. Like I don't care what you want to do after that. You could tell me like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do Blue Cow and I'm gonna do fucking Great Batmobile. I'm like, you said Ra's al Ghul. I don't fucking care. Like I'm just done with it. But yeah, also like, I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't. I do get worried about the horror people trying to do Batman, which Muscietti is going to be part of that. So we'll see. But he's kind of already showed in Flash that he knows what Batman, the aesthetic of Batman.
Yes.
I do feel like a lot of the horror guys would do cool with trying to make Batman like intimidating in the scary ways. I'm worried about the villains they would pick and they would try to go too horror with the villains.
The only way that works is if they go with some of your favorite villains.
Yeah.
Dollmaker.
Mm-hmm.
That works with very scary villains.
Yeah.
Professor Pig. That works the same way. But with like the character, like there's a reason why I don't love Tim Burton's Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Penguin. I'm sorry. Like as a child was not the greatest thing for me to watch.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito was a fucking nightmare in that movie. And I don't need that again, you know? I am okay with if they want to give him certain Penguin features, I guess, okay. But it's still not for me. That's not how I like Penguin to be represented. But I would totally be down because one thing I don't think that we get enough of is in a Batman movie, seeing Batman take down quote unquote normal criminals.
Yeah. The noobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think that
I think more of like the horror, intimidation, scary parts could be played with that. Yeah. Because like it's the normies, it's the regular citizens that are just trying to like make a quick buck or whatever. Yeah. And they're gonna be more terrified than that of a Penguin or a Riddler or a Two-Face or everything else. Yeah. So it doesn't really work with them, you know? Especially if they've had multiple interactions with Batman. You need to show that kind of stuff with the smaller criminals, and that way you get like the audience gets the real feeling of what those characters are feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't Ra's al Ghul just I don't care. Like I don't care to see it because there's not much more you can add to what we already saw in the Nolan verse, right?
Yeah.
You know,
and honestly,
we can do better looking ninjas. Like,
honestly, with the whole thing with Ra's though or Raz, I can never remember how you pronounce it.
Ra's is the proper way. Even Talia says that in the animated series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the idea of Ra's, if they're gonna go with the storyline with the Brave and the Bold, I don't want to see him too heavily. I want to see him almost as like a cameo, as like a oh, you know he's coming up, but like, are they going to show him? Or are they not going to show him? You know,
Yeah.
type of thing. And then like pick an awesome actor to be Raish, and then you'd be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
you know. But I like, because the moment you see him, for one, he's going to be uh judged by the Nolan lovers. And especially if he comes out on the first Batman movie of the new universe, oh, you're just copying the Nolan trilogy.
But now that I think about it, he might, because Damien's supposed to be in it, and it's his first movie.
Yeah.
We might actually get Race at the start. I don't fucking like that.
Well, I think we'll get Raish at the start, but I don't think he'll be the main villain.
I hope it's not Talia either. So that's the thing. Unless, is she gonna? I think you just do that all in a flashback.
I need to see how wacky the Flash is gonna be, because if Muscietti gets the vibe of like, oh, every movie needs to be like this because that's what people love from me in this universe, we might get Raish, Bad Assassins, all of that stuff.
Yeah, see, I don't know. We'll see. But if I had to defend Raish right now, I would take Raish over the Joker. I do not need to see the Joker until a third Batman movie. I don't. I do not need the Joker in this universe right away. And yeah, you know what? If you want to do a Suicide Squad goes after the Joker and Batman's not involved, I'm down with that, because then you can make it versus Harley. You know, Harley can go after the Joker. But I do not need a Batman versus Joker movie anytime soon.
Yeah,
like make that 10 years from now, and I'd be happy, because we're probably gonna, if this other Joker makes fucking $1 billion again, we're getting a third one. It's just gonna happen. They will back the truck up to Joaquin Phoenix's house, you know, be like, dude, we need one more. I don't know what they would do. Again, I'm really hoping my theory of them doing something drastically different for a third movie, it would be amazing. Like they do a comedy. Like I think that would be fantastic. Or a dramedy, as they would say, right? So because I would just love somebody that had the balls to do 3 different types of movies in a trilogy. Like that would be great. But yeah, so crazy stuff there. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm down for Sam Raimi to prove me wrong, but I just don't fucking care about Ra's al Ghul. Like, you know. Anyways, one thing I do want to jump over to real quick, because we don't have comics this week before we dive into viewer questions, which will be how we end the podcast, is I want to talk about you know, it came out this over the last week, comic book, you know, CBR, all these other platforms, even Jim Lee himself, we're tweeting out the Bruce Wayne, Selina Kyle all-out war that's going to be happening in Gotham. We're getting another Gotham war, Clay.
Man, juice is triggered this week, guys.
Yeah, like it has been crazy. I put this on Twitter, and I tagged
I saw some of these. Yeah.
I put the only way, because they were saying, this was the quote tweet. It says, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle are headed for all-out war. DC announces new Batman Catwoman crossover event, which could forever change the life of Jason Todd / Red Hood. And I'm like, huh? Like, first of all, why? But this is what I quoted. I was like, the only way you change Jason Todd's life is if you finally make him a full-blown villain. Other than that, he will always be the outcast. Also, I'm calling it right now, Zur and Ra will probably fight Catwoman because Batman can't, or something like that. Zdarsky loves Zur and Ra. Now, I got a couple of comments on this, and somebody said Zdarsky did the same, that Zdarsky did say that Bruce Wayne will struggle with Zur, to which I responded, I've never been a Zur fan. I think Zdarsky hasn't been writing a good Batman story, just writing for shock and awe. To which this person said, and this is where I was really confused. They're like, I'm loving the character growth Bruce Wayne gets. And I'm like, I'm curious, what character growth do you think he's gotten? I've seen nothing that hasn't been done before. Maybe I missed whatever you see. And then they just respond him and Tim.
I called bullshit on this when I saw this. Because I said in the Discord, I said and I think Arwitz also or Raphael also made this claim, and it's so true, and it bothers me so much. People think that as long as two characters are on a panel, that's character growth.
Yeah.
Character growth, it's right there. It's right in front of you. You see the two characters interacting. That is character growth. No, wrong. There needs to be an emotional stake with the two characters, and they need to learn something from each other and then grow from it with a problem that they are facing or whatever. That is character growth. That's how character growth has been written for years.
Yeah.
Everything that Zdarsky has done with Tim and Batman and Bruce has not been character growth.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was almost seen as like degressing the character with soldiers, and this is my army, and we were going back to all of that shit, and like no, we don't need that shit. And then Zdarsky was like, oh well, actually this was the Zurin Raw persona kind of breaking out already, because building up the defenses of Bruce Wayne, blah blah blah, spitting all that bullshit. That is like, for us, that is not character growth. That is not teaching us anything about Tim. It's not teaching us anything about Batman.
Yeah.
And but what about the fight at the end of with Failsafe? They fought together, and like they always fight together. It was nothing new. It was the same that they're partners in crime. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So no, there has been no character growth with anything that Zdarsky has done with any of the characters.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are probably focusing on the soldiers thing where he was like, he's my son, which, by the way, fun fact, I think out of all of the kids, Tim Drake is the least son out of all of them because he actually has parents, depending on which fucking era we're going with.
Yeah.
So I find that the funniest thing that Batman said. So I don't know, is the character growth that he considers him a son now? He's probably always considered all of them his kids. He probably thinks Barbara's his kid, and Barbara's the least one out of all of them. Like her father and Bruce talk, but he probably still thinks that of her as a daughter,
Yeah.
And so that's not character growth. Now they're probably also being like at the end of 900, or like, oh, I'm lost here, but I need, when I'm not good enough, I need a Robin, and fucking Tim Drake was an angel that came to survive, to save his life or whatever, I don't know if that's also a thing that they're trying to harp on, but yeah, there has not been any character growth. If anything, what Zdarsky did to even try to make this story happen was he had to regress Batman. And he hasn't even done anything of substance, in my opinion, to get him away from this Zurin Raw. Like, I don't understand why Zurin Raw is still around. I don't understand it. Like, I thought he made peace with Zurin Raw. Zurin Raw understood, like, oh, I can't be this brutal, crazy Batman because I know about people around me. I need to respect them. We had that moment before he dove out to save Superman's life, right? He was just like, oh, I understand that, save Superman. They need him more. He is the light. He is the beacon, yada, yada. I can save myself. I'll never give up, And then that's when Aquaman saves him. And then remember, Gotham got taken over by robots. Where the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I didn't know Tom Taylor was writing this book. But it just blows my mind that Gotham is probably, gonna be fine, and we're not gonna get any kind of resemblance of what happened there. But yeah,
probably
Zurin Raw never why is he back? It makes no sense.
And for me, I just remembered, and this might be a defense that people have for Chip, is, oh well, you have to because technically King did the same. You have to degress a character. You have to bring him to his lowest. So that way he can rise above whatever problem or villain that is facing him, right?
Yeah.
So with with Chip, I would say that, yeah, you could probably say that you're degressing the character, but not in an interesting way for me to want to proceed reading willingly.
Yeah.
You know, to be like, okay, I want to know what happens next. We you shot some hot takes at Jimenez's artwork just the other day.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, is he tracing his own work? What's going on? And he always gives, and I'll say he's consistent, which is good, for artists to some degree. That a lot of the Catwoman poses were some of the same that he was doing in Tynan's work.
Yeah.
Almost identical.
Yeah.
And then you were saying, oh, not even the art is going to help this book anymore. I'm still going to say Jimenez is a great artist. I think he has a lot going on with him. But I don't think that his art can save this book anymore, in my opinion, just because of how much I am uninterested in this Batman.
Yeah. And just to clarify, I did show a lot of images in the Discord. From my observation of it, I don't think it's tracing, but he does do this pose that is very similar with Catwoman, where it's a camera angle that's looking up at her, and it's like as if she's like towering above you, and it makes her, every kind of pose is kind of the same, it looks like. And it's not full-blown tracing or anything like that, but it does look very similar. And that's why I was like, why does this feel like I've seen this before, like a million times? And I think that's why it is. But yeah, again, he's written on two of the last big writers that have been, or actually the last two big writers that have been on Batman. So like, and they're doing Catwoman. So it does kind of look similar. But yeah, I don't think the art can save this book. But yeah, I just thought, and it doesn't help too. Like somebody was talking about, I know Raphael usually keeps up with a lot of the like interviews and other stuff that's going on inside of Batman that we don't even keep up with, like when he's like in forums or whatever. And somebody was asking, like, I'm just going to read this one thing from this quote that Zdarsky liked and responded to. I guess I'm assuming this was on his Substack, maybe.
This looks like Substack. Yeah.
Yeah. And this person was like, what the hell happened to the set Batman and Catwoman against one another in a big enough event to be called a war? Like, they're curious on, like, what the fuck happened that's big enough to make them go to war with each other? We have read the next issue. We're not going to spoil anything, but nothing in that issue was from, at least that one, was to go to war over yet.
Yeah, no.
So maybe we'll find it out in 137, 138, maybe. I think this starts on 138, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So we need to figure out what they're going to war for in the next issue after the one we're about to cover next week. This person went on to say, like, they've never done anything in 30 to 40 years that would need them to go to war against each other. And they were like, what are the teams going to be? Like Team Cat versus Team Bat. And Zdarsky was like, ha ha, I love this. Anyways, as always, everything will make sense. That hasn't happened your whole run. When you read it. And nope, no rosters. I want you to experience it as it all happens. Basically, I need you to buy my fucking book because it's trash and nobody's reading it. And that's why we're doing all these covers. Again, if this is the first time you're ever listening to this, we don't hold back on things, but we still respect writers. We're just going to critique shit. We're fans first, and we let our emotions out when we don't like something. But like, I don't know. Here's the thing. You want to know why I think Zdarsky probably gets to me is because I know it's part of an act too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know Zdarsky has that personality, and I'm just like, bro, I don't like your writing. And then you have this shtick about you that's like, haha, I'm the best writer, and I'm this and that. I'm just like, it's like the worst pairing for me. But again, he's written stuff that I enjoy. It's just I don't enjoy this. I mean, what do you think they could do that could change Red Hood forever?
The one thing that we want is make him a villain.
Yeah.
But actually make him a villain, because he's gone through phases where he's like, fuck the Bat family. Like he's been through that before. And he's like, I'm going to do my own thing. Yeah. Okay, cool. but like he's never full out like, hey, I'm gonna be a villain. I'm gonna try to kill Batman. I'm gonna try to kill the family, and I'm not going back. That would be the one thing, but I don't know if Chip can do that in a way that's gonna make me want to say, yeah, I want this to happen.
Yeah. You know what I would have to do? I'd have Red Hood join Catwoman squad for whatever reason. He's helping out. And then obviously, I'm telling you, this story is going to end with Catwoman and Batman like reconciling or whatever. And they probably get married. And Chip's going to be like, yeah, I'm the guy that made Catwoman and Batman get married. You know what I mean? I feel like he would have the gall to do that. And just put it out there. The way I would do this is I would have Red Hood join Catwoman's side. She starts seeing that she's on the wrong side of history or whatever you want to put it in this war. And Red Hood shoots her. And that's how he becomes a villain. And he's like, I'm fucking tired of these games. I'm tired of the wishy-washiness of Batman. He's wrong. And things need to be done in a different way. And I'm tired of following these stupid rules. And he shoots Catwoman. Possibly, she's on near death. Obviously, we're not going to kill her. Batman saves her or whatever. And then he just you need to have like a cold ass fucking line. Like, I don't think they'll ever write this, but I'd be like, if your bitch lives, come find me or something like that. Like, I would do something crazy like that to make Red Hood just be like, oh my God, like, holy shit, he really went off the deep end. Because killing villains, although shocking, he didn't kill Penguin.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. But shooting your quote unquote father's wife, that's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? That's how I would make him go full. If you're in this particular arc, I would probably write something very different if I was going to make Red Hood become a villain. But in this particular way, I think he should shoot Catwoman. And then, like, she's on the verge of death or whatever. Batman, of course, is going to try to save her. And then you have an arc of him going after Red Hood. Like, I don't mind a chase scene. Like, I like a chase scene. Snyder had the idea when he wrote All-Star Batman, which wasn't great. But he had Two-Face running across America, and Batman was chasing him, and that was really cool. So, like, I don't mind Batman chasing something. I mean, we saw Tom King do it with KG Beast, right? Like, that was awesome. And so I love when Batman's in hunter mode, but hunter mode after somebody he trained and that just almost killed the woman he loves, that'd be crazy. Will DC ever do it? No. Because, like, Red Hood, I think he just needs to be a villain at this point. Because it's like Batman's never going to love him. That's how it feels. Because that's how they write him, That's how they do it. Like, I made the thing of, like, you have to have Batman send him to the Suicide Squad. They fucked that up. Like, that whole story was lame. They could have done that so much better. And you could have had it been like, hey, look, you and I are on bad terms, but you know what? You want to start building up your trust again? Go work on the Suicide Squad and keep an eye on Amanda Waller. Like, you know, that would have been a great story. But no, there's like, go work for Suicide Squad and Joker kill people. Oh no, that story went nowhere. And then we got a random Suicide Squad 2 in that book at the same time. And it's like, and that was like, it was so fucking confusing. And then didn't it end with like Harley Quinn possibly killing the Joker or she almost dying or something? I don't even remember that book. It was so weird. I feel like I might be blending two books together.
I think you're blending two books together. Yeah.
Because like Birds of Prey happened, right? Written by Azzarello. Yeah, I might be blending two books together, but either way, it doesn't make sense. Not memorable. So yeah, I think Red Hood, and I know we have some Red Hood fans in this audience. Red Hood is one of the people that used to comment on the podcast a lot. Red Hood, if you're still listening to this, what do you think? Anybody else that's a big Red Hood fan, what do you think about this? Because Red Hood is just like stuck in limbo. I think the only way you get him out is by making him a full-blown villain. And I think you can make him a villain people would like. So, but I don't know. Because I would read a Red Hood book where he's killing, But like, and then I want to see him fight like Green Arrow. I want to see him fucking fight. Like, I want to see him fight Justice League people. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to die, right? So they could have good fights, and he just gets away.
Like especially like when like before Batman could let people know about what's going on with Jason, because like there's a little bit of me that believes that Batman would be like, oh, I'll take care of it, so he doesn't want to tell the Justice League.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still think there's a little bit of Batman that might be like, hey, like this is happening, beware of Jason Todd, Red Hood. But like just like seeing him bump into Green Arrow and being like Red Hood bumping into Green Arrow and being like, I'm gonna fuck you up just because I can now.
Yeah.
And Green Arrow not knowing why the hell freaking Red Hood is trying to kill him. And then that causes a whole mess within the DC universe with the trust of Batman again. I think you're branching into different types of storytelling at that point.
Yeah.
And that is what is a compelling story.
Yeah. I would love, because I think they kind of wrote it in that when he shot Penguin, because like Batman, he's known for never giving up, right? I would love to see the story where he gives up on someone. And that could be Red Hood. Because like, how powerful is that? You know what I mean? Like he gave up on Red Hood. He's like, you can't be saved. Like somebody that continuously finds to save the Joker. And he's telling Red Hood, like, you're
a lost cause.
Yeah. Like you don't want to be helped. Like, I can, at least the Joker's insane. You're not. You just want to be bad. And then, I don't know. I think there's so many better stories you can tell with Red Hood if you make him a villain. I don't think DC will ever do that. I think the fan base would also revolt that are big Red Hood fans, but you're not getting anything good now. So try something different, Yeah. You have a shittiest costume right now. Out of the Bat family, you have the shittiest costume. Even Drake went back to his old costume and looks better. He hasn't got the fucking UPS outfit anymore. So I don't know. That's something I wanted to cover because, again, we have very strong opinions on this podcast, but the general audience, a lot of people that just read comics think that a lot of this stuff is good. They think it's great. I don't know if you saw my tweet yesterday. My new goal in life is to write something that people steal.
Because you were texting me about Barnes & Noble.
So before we move on again, this is a tangent episode. But when I was at Barnes & Noble, I went to go look at Chainsaw Man because like I just finished season 1 and I'm like, oh, I wonder how far it is into the manga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because usually like I watched all of Blue Lock season 1, which is the soccer anime. And that goes all the way to like chapter 95. And I'm like, holy crap. The first season is 95 chapters. But in Spy Family, which I own a lot of, that goes to like chapter 38 for season 1. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's a huge difference in between like mangas. So I'm like, where does Chainsaw Man stop? Because I watched Chainsaw Man. I was like, I want more. I was like, I need more Chainsaw Man. And so I wanted to go look at the books. And I was like, there was none. I was like, there's no way there's no books here. And so I asked this chick that was working there. And she was like, oh, we keep them in the back. And I'm like, oh, can I see them? She was like, well, we'll keep them in the back because they get stolen all the time. And she was like, what do you need? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to look at them. She's like, well, I mean, they're in the back because people steal them. And so it's kind of like it's happened so much that she was just like, why the fuck does this guy like?
It's like, you're not stealing these from me.
Yeah.
Asshole.
And I'm just all like, it did, I was just like, do I look like I steal? Like, I mean, I know I'm Mexican, but damn, what the fuck? But
God
like, anyways,
stereotypes.
Yeah. But like, I just thought it doesn't help that she was white too. So like it doesn't, the stereotypes don't really help there. But anyways, but no, I thought she was just kind of like, she was like, let me go look. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she comes back, she's like, we have 1 through 11. And I'm like, do you have the box set? And she's like, no. And I'm like, all right, cool. I was like, I'll just buy the box set when it comes out. And I walked away and I text Clay. I was like, yo, turns out Chainsaw Man is so popular. People are stealing it from this store and they have to keep it in the back. And I was like, also the girl that I talked to was kind of a bitch. Like she was not having it. But to kind of pump her up a little bit, she did come back to me after I talked to her and she was like, hey, I just looked it up for you. We're getting that box set in September, just to let you know. And like, it'll come in and yada, yada. So she came back and she was cool after that. And I even talked to her after that again because I asked her, I was like, hey, I'm like actually taken aback that somebody was stealing so much of this book that y'all had to put in the back. What other series are being stolen? She was like, oh, Berserk, some manga called Big Fish or Blue Fish, or I don't know what the fuck it was called. Banana Fish. Never heard of that before.
Never heard of it.
Jujutsu Kaisen, which I can understand that one. And like I was just like shocked. I was like, damn. I thought manga kids were the kids that like are fucking, oh man, I would never do anything bad in my life. You know what I mean? You're telling me we have thieves in this community now? Like, what the hell? But no, like, I was like, damn, I want to write something so popular that Barnes and Noble has to keep it in the back and you have to request it. And I asked them too, I was like, do they sell like crazy still, even though y'all don't have them on the shelves? And she was like, oh, hell yeah. She was like, they sell like crazy. And they were like, if you go out there and notice, there's these little signs. They're like, are you looking for this? Ask in the front. And you have to ask for it. And I'm just like, I didn't see those because I don't fucking read little messages in the bookstore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to put like a poster that says like Chainsaw Man, because I will not notice it. But yeah, I thought that was fucking wild. That's my new goal in life, to write something so popular people steal it. But hopefully not to the point where I don't make money off of it, because that would suck. You know, it's so popular. We're stealing because he wants us to do it. I'm like, no, I do. I got bills. But yeah, all right, let's move on to questions, ladies and gentlemen. We only have one in the Discord, and that is from Arwitz. If Batman were to go evil, would the Justice League actually be able to take on Batman? Once he goes evil, let's say he has 1 month to prepare. No one realizes he is a rogue, and he's not holding back in any way. Yeah.
I don't like this question.
Yeah.
Just because, like, the easy answer is we've already got an evil Batman.
Yeah.
Batman Who Laughs. And we hated Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah.
And the reason why was because he became the one thing every freaking Bat freak fan wanted to be Bat God. And he was just like, oh, I am more powerful than anything just because I want to be.
Yeah.
And he was just way too OP of a character. Like, he just honestly was.
Wasn't enjoyable to read at all.
It got really annoying to read. I liked all the other reiterations of Batman. I wanted more of those, but we got Batman Who Laughs. Could he beat the Batman? I think, honestly, he would have a good run. I don't think he could beat the Justice League.
Are they all fighting him at once? Because we've seen it happen. Like, that's the thing.
In Snyder's run.
Yeah. I think he would be able to take out the main ones. He's gonna get beat by the like B tier, which is sad, but it's because there's so much more of the B tier that they would get on him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the one thing he didn't do in Snyder's run is he didn't fight Cyborg. No. He knows how to fight Cyborg, but Cyborg can also boom to him his ass out of there. You know what I mean? I think, you know, you got to remember I think one of Batman's best fights would be Green Arrow.
Do you know what I just thought of?
What?
If they steal the story from Fast 9.
Oh, yeah.
Vin Diesel goes rogue.
Yeah.
Because of certain reasons. I'm not going to spoil Fast 9 for you guys. Even though it's like already 2 years old, 3 years old. If Batman was forced to go rogue, would the Justice League still beat him or not? Because the family didn't beat Vin at all. Or Dom.
Did you see that he said he's down to do a Toretto's movie after the other 2 movies that are going to come out?
Oh no.
I'm like, dude, like, I understand that nobody wants to hire you for anything else now that Guardians is over, but you gotta let it go, man.
Well, like, there was also like rumors of like he had said that there's also like a female-led spin-off movie in the works as well, and like all sorts of stuff. So it's
well, I mean, especially with the ending, right? So we'll see. Crazy shit. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Could he? Obviously, because he's done it before, right? There's precedent of him beating everybody. He'd take out Superman first. It's what he would do, because Superman's going to be the thing. You also got to think, Are the Justice League going to be fighting full force? Are they going to try to kill him? You know, because if he is, that's the thing. Like
the way that the question was kind of put out there,
mm-hmm.
He has 1 month to
prepare,
and they don't know he's Rogue. I think it
Yeah.
would be a surprise attack on Batman. Like Batman would surprise the Justice League probably at the Watchtower.
Yeah.
So that way it's off of Earth and it's just like boom, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he would definitely have ways of taking them out. And we also saw Snyder, of course, because he's done this twice already. He had Batman be the evil Batman. He had it be the Batman who laughs, and in that other Endgame or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah.
You know, where he had Joker carrying him around in a birdcage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Evil Batman just isn't fun. Like, he's not cool to read. He was cool for a little bit in Death Metal or Dark Knight's Metal, whatever the fuck it was called. And then Scott Snyder ran that train into the ground, and they just started putting out stupid characters. Fucking a monster truck Batman. Was it Gotham City Batman? Like dinosaur Batman? Like, it was fucking, at that point, it was toys. At that point, they were like, we need something to make stupid toys. Because McFarlane needs a lot. Yeah, McFarlane needs toys to make. And so, like, here we go. And it was idiotic. I feel bad that that's what Snyder went out on. Yeah, this is my legacy right here. I'm leaving on Dark Knight's Metal 2. One of the shittiest stories ever written. That is going to be his Odyssey. I'm telling you. Which is not something you want to do. All right, let's move on to our last questions that we have over here on the YouTubes. I'm resorting to newest from the bottom. Moncre, which male Batman villain would you bang if you absolutely had to? Lots of choices, huh? So I thought about this because it's a male Batman villain. So it has to be Batman villains. I was trying to think. I was like, My automatically first person I'm going with is Clayface. Because he can morph into anything.
He can morph into anybody.
Yeah. So, I
think no matter what, I think we all end up dead. Like, no matter what, unfortunately.
For sure. At least with Clayface, I have a lot of fun there. Now this person now this person. Even if it needs to stay Clayface's face, but I'm getting the body of somebody else, like, I'm like, all right, fuck yeah. Like, can you morph into a bag? Like, that'd be great. I'm going Clayface.
Oh shit.
Other than that, like, I don't know who else you're going for. Because at first I thought it just said like Batman character, and I was all like, you get a lot of props if you just go Nightwing, right? Like, you're just like, I'm going Nightwing. I was like, pretty boy, all that jazz. But then it was a villain. I was like, oh, villain? I was like, I'm going Clayface, 100%. I'm trying to think of, is there any pretty Batman villains?
I don't know. You know, it's just like it depends on like how the writers or the artists have portrayed them. Yeah. Like, you have Mikael Janon's strong-jawed Riddler, you know? Like, a lot of people will be like, hey, you know, looking pretty good there.
If I fuck Scarface, does that count? Fucking a puppet? Does that count? I mean, it's a male character. He's a villain. He doesn't kill people, you know?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Riddler, Mikael Janon's Riddler does look kind of nice. I'm going Clayface than fucking Scarface, you know? So I'm sticking with the faces.
I think Clayface is a cheat, but I think he is the safest bet for sure. As a runner-up though, God, me.
I'm just trying to think of other Batman villains at the moment. I feel like I'm trying to think. Because I'm also trying to think of like cred, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of cred do you get if you pull that off?
Well, it's like you don't want to go with like a D-list villain also, you know?
Yeah. But like, I also don't want to go with the top ones because then it's automatically like if you talk to anybody about this, you're fucking dead. You know?
Yeah.
But like with Clayface, I can just say whoever, and then they'll be like, no, you didn't, and it'll always just be Clayface. Scarface ain't gonna talk unless his boy shows up, so it's just all
True.
like, and I think Scarface has a rep, you know, he's gonna keep that shit under wraps. But let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to look at my books of anybody else. Like, I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. Kite Man.
Hell yeah. That would be funny. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like, I know that there are characters, but I always think they're female characters that have like masks, but they're like extremely pretty under the mask. So, because I know there is an animated series where there is a villain where I think she's killing people or whatever, and she wears a mask, and if she takes off her mask, she's like, oh no, like she can't look at herself, but she's like super fucking gorgeous. And Batgirl's like, oh my god, she's beautiful. And she was like, but she doesn't think that. Like Batman's just like flat out like psychoanalyzing. He's like, yeah, she doesn't think she's beautiful. And yada yada yada. It's funny. But yeah, I'm going with Clayface. Scarface, my second backup. Moving on from that, we got Eduardo de la Cruz. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat who would win. Green Lantern versus Darth Vader. The Flash versus Ghost Rider. Poison Ivy versus Storm. With the Poison Ivy versus Storm, plants survive storms all the time.
You can waterlog a plant, though.
True, but there are also plants that survive underwater. Seaweed, you know, coral reefs, all that kind of stuff.
We've never really seen that from Poison Ivy, though. That would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, again, Tom King just made her too OP. Like
he did, but I'm not saying I need it.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a very interesting aspect to somehow get Ivy into the ocean, maybe Atlantis or something, and see her actually interact with ocean like green.
You know? Yeah, that would be pretty interesting because we know they can interact with water because Swamp Thing comes out of the swamp all the fucking time. So like that doesn't matter. I'm gonna go Ivy there. Because I think no matter what Storm does, like Ivy can die and come back. Like she's kind of like she's an OP character. And I think a lot people don't really showcase that enough. Flash versus Ghost Rider. Now here's the question I have. Is it in the Ghost Rider? Because I might be stealing this from Pokemon, and I know this is a lie in Pokemon too, from my understanding. If you extinguish Ghost Rider's flame, does he die?
I don't think I know that answer. Yeah. I've never seen Ghost Rider's flame extinguished though.
Yeah, because I hear like everybody says like, oh, if Charmander's flame goes out, he dies, but I heard that's fake. So
it was in the anime, like it was in one of the first.
They take one of the like he's covering his flame. Yeah. But I don't know if that means he dies if it goes out.
Well, I think in one of the original episodes, Brock, when they see the abandoned Charmander, they're like, "Oh, if his flame goes out, he could die." Yeah, he could die. Is the phrasing? So people are just like, "Oh, there you go." You know, he's gonna die if the flame goes out.
Because I didn't know if that's what happens with Ghost Rider. Because I feel like Flash would just blow out his flame,
put him in a vacuum. Yeah, basically. It's funny that they choose these two to fight because there is an amalgam comics where these two actually it's actually no, it's not these two. It's Ghost Rider and the demon Etrigan, and they become Speed Demon. That's what it is, I think. Or no, hold on. I think it's amalgam of all three. I think it's Flash, Ghost Rider, and the Demon of Etrigan, and they're called Speed Demon.
That's weird.
But I would have to go with the Flash because even like the biggest thing that Ghost Rider has is like the pestilent stare, which is like, hey, I'm going to put every sin onto you, like basically putting your sins up against you. and it does wonders for all of the criminals that actually do bad things.
Yeah.
But for the Flash, he's a good guy, so it's not going to do a whole lot for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would probably go the Flash here.
Yeah, and then Darth Vader versus Green Lantern. I mean, they're both in space. I think this is probably the one Darth Vader matchup that's better than the previous ones. He's kind of destroyed everybody. I think it would come down to, I guess, like nothing really. I mean, we've seen things break the Green Lantern stuff before, but who has more will? It comes down to Green Lantern or Darth Vader.
Yeah, I think for me, it would depend on which Green Lantern. Because for me, yes, you're right. You know, who has more will, that's going to be the best. I think any Green Lantern that sees Darth Vader and sees the lightsaber, they're going to immediately like create a sword of them for themselves.
Yeah.
But like for me, as my favorite Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, like he's a nerd. He would go all out on Darth Vader. He would freaking pull out the X-Wing. He would freaking make a Death Star of his own to shoot at Darth Vader. Like he would do all sorts of stuff, not just use a sword.
I think my biggest question is, can Force Choke go through Green Lantern force fields?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, then he's dead. So Darth Vader. The Force Choke's too OP. It's too OP. You know what I mean? Like, I just, unless you're fighting another fucking, Jedi, it just doesn't help. It's just too OP. So moving on from that, Alexis Barrera, what would be the lineup of your guys' own Rogues Gallery? Spider-Man News Weekly, probably in top 5. I had to look this up because I didn't know Spider-Man News Weekly was a thing. I don't know if Alexis Barrera was the one that mentioned this a long time ago. I feel like it was maybe Metallica. I don't remember. But somebody asked, like, would you guys be mad if somebody started Spider-Man News Weekly? We were like, no. I would be surprised, like, if you're that consistent. Like, we've been pretty consistent for 4 years. Minus me having panic attacks. It's the only time we missed podcasts.
Yeah.
So, like, and I think that was only like 2 or 3 weeks.
But also, I will give them this. Spider-Man is another one of those characters that at Marvel, they have like a book with the Spider-Man name like almost every week, just like Batman.
Yeah, so you'd have a lot cut out for you. And then I don't know if there's as much Spider-Man news as there would be Batman news.
Not like for right now. I think there's a lot of speculation and stuff. There's still
the game like, to talk about a lot.
You have the game. There's still a lot of talk of like Toby being in Secret Invasion or not Secret Invasion, sorry. King Dynasty and Secret Wars, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So you have some stuff, but not as much as we have been having with a lot of the boom of the DCU.
But I guess if they were to do what we do and you branch off to Venom, Carnage,
I was going to say you also have like the Sony movies that are coming out, Craven, all of that stuff.
Do. I guess they would be our number one competition, our villain Rogues Gallery. But I honestly think our Rogues Gallery would be more like viewer based, like somebody that hates the podcast, right? Or thinks that those guys are always negative. Fuck those guys.
We haven't had some of those guys in a very long time. We used to have some commenters that would kind of fight back on us, but we don't get them anymore a whole lot.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. Some of them probably think they can outlast us. I mean, we've been doing this for 4 years. Y'all are not the first person that's shit on us. Like, it's not, like we're on Twitter. Like, that's bad enough. Like, we see it all the time. But, I don't know. Those kind of comments don't really get to me. They are annoying because it's not that what people say gets to me. It's like, why are you wasting your time on this? Like, how old are you? Like, you know what I mean? If you're older, it's worse. Like, if you're wasting your time on this kind of shit and you're older, I'm just like, bro, like, come on. But yeah, for the most part, I think it would be more like, hater that's there, that just can't shut up. So that's like 1, 2, if you're including Spider-Man News Weekly. Scoopers, I would have put in there because they can source us unreliable information. So I would go Scoopers are probably in the Rogues Gallery.
He gives a full top. Nathan actually commented and gave
I
a
didn't see
full
this.
10 list here.
Let's just run through this then. Yeah, go for it.
Top 10. We're gonna go with number 10 is the first, and then we'll go all the way down. So
Juice's
number 10, Juice's school bully. Number 9.
Did you have bullies? Were you bullied?
I was bullied more so in middle school than anything.
Middle school is where I stood up for myself for the first time that I remember. There used to be this fat kid, and I'm not trying to fat shame. He was fat. I'm sorry. I'm a thin kid, so like a bigger person can push me around pretty bad. His name was Jonathan, and I went to elementary with him, and he was the biggest fucking mama's boy ever. His mom was like, before what Karens were, she was like a Karen. She's like, you don't fuck with my son, like he's my baby, like all the way to middle school. And like I went to middle school with him. I remember one day, and I remember wearing some like shitty ass clothes too. Like I had probably like some beige cargo shorts on or whatever. I probably was the kid with the high socks and stuff. Like I remember it looking like shit. And I think in 6th grade, he pushed me down. And like, I remember it was in dirt or whatever. And I got back up and just like went like chest to chest with them. Like, I'm fucking like 80 pounds, like probably like 50, 60 pounds at this point in 6th grade. And like this kid in 6th grade is probably pushing like 150 to 2. Like he was big. And everybody was like, oh, fuck. Like everybody was like, oh, shit, he's standing. What the hell? And like he was just kind of like shocked that
you're gonna die.
Yeah, he was just kind of shocked that I stood up to him, and then it kind of just died out. I didn't get bullied after that, and then if somebody like picked on me, I kind of just stood up to them. I never got into a fight when I was younger, but it was always like a bunch of almost fights, and like I always had like teachers just so happened to show up every time something was about to go down. It's so weird, but I didn't really have any school bullies after that though. So, but yeah. And then 9, Anya? What is that?
I can only think of freaking Spy Family.
Yeah, Anya's
the little girl.
Why would she be in our top 10? I don't understand. Does she I guess she reads our thoughts, but like how is that a bad thing?
I mean it might be a bad thing for Juice. 8, Snyder Cultist, 100%. 7, the 2024 Stalker fan.
6 is anxiety.
6, 100%. 5, Zdarsky. 4, the Mad Doxer.
Yeah, doxing would suck.
3, Juice's X.
All right.
2, Juice's racist commenter.
Racist comments don't really bother me. I just think you're fucking idiotic. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's not that big. The X, I don't need to deal with any of that. And then Spider-Man News Weekly, number 1. I don't know. If the Spider-Man people were cool, they wouldn't be our enemies. Like, it would. I think our enemy would be another Batman podcast, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've kind of dropped out because we were. I think what was that one?
Batman News Radio or Batman Radio? Bat Radio?
I think it's Bat Radio.
Yeah. They were really good. It was like 3 dudes.
Yeah. But I feel like they dropped off the face of the earth. Like I haven't listened to them.
Yeah, I don't follow any of those people anymore on Twitter. It's kind of how I knew they would drop episodes. But yeah, they had big like people for a long time. Like they had like Tom King. They had oh my god, Ed, what is his name? The really good artist that's like realistic. Russo. Is it Russo? I forget his name. The guy that does like all the Azzarello stuff. He does like not dark, Batman Damned and shit. That artist. Yeah, I forget his name.
Oh,
I literally have his book right there, but I can't see his name because it's the detective book. But yeah.
Oh my
it's
God,
not Russo.
I can't remember
Is his last name not Russo? Ed
no.
Russo.
It's not Ed either.
It's not Ed? Really? All right, hold on. You can talk. I got it right here. Literally got it right
okay,
here.
So it's
Lieber Mayhew.
Mayhew. Okay,
yeah. Lieber Mayhew.
I was like, Ed, what are you talking? I was
I
like,
don't know. I knew he had a weird name.
well, no, like whenever you say Ed, I think Brubaker. And so
That's
I'm like,
true.
I was like, that's
He's a
not
writer,
an
though.
artist. He's a writer.
Yeah.
So get this though. Going back to our old question of the rivals, we and we'll be transparent. We look at all sources for news and what we look up.
Mm-hmm.
One of my things, just because, hey, if we're gonna be a Batman centric podcast, why not look at a Batman centric website to look at some news? So I look at Batman news. Now, some of their stuff can be kind of questionable, but it's whatever.
I stopped going to them, but
I look at like the obvious, like if I know there's an obvious like headline, I go to them to look at the hyperlink to go to the actual website or whatever. So there's Batman News. I just typed in Spider-Man News Weekly. There is a SpiderManNews.com.
So Batman News actually got bought out by somebody else. So it used to be one guy that would cover everything. And I think he had a podcast and stuff too. And then somebody bought him out.
God damn.
Yeah. So he actually sold the website. And that's why they cover like everything now. That's like TV shows or whatever. But it's kind of still loosely centered around Batman. They kind of cover like and then they do like more stuff. So I think they have a bigger staff now to like do reviews and everything, because I think it was just one guy that was doing everything for the longest time. They probably kept him on to run it for a while, but I don't know if he's still there. But yeah, so like pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, I think other podcasts would be, I haven't checked in a long time if we're like the longest running, but there was a few podcasts that have been running way before us that were weekly as well. So I don't know. I will say, if we could include YouTube analytics with our current downloads, we've been kind of killing it lately. Like our last few videos have been getting like, we've had a few that are over 1,000, and then like some of them are like hundreds of views. So shout out to everybody that's listening or watching on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Since there is so many of you that are there, if you're still listening right now, maybe hit that subscribe button. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we could actually monetize this stuff, which would be a big help to us. But yeah, I appreciate everybody that's actually listening and watching on YouTube, because it helps out a lot. Like last week's episode, which came out 4 days ago, we're at 914 views right now. Which is pretty good. We were like, if it broke 100, we were happy, because we're like, oh yeah, 100 listeners, like that's huge for a podcast. Like that's huge. And then we get about 100 on like downloads through like Spotify, Apple, and everything like that. So that's pretty awesome too. But the last few weeks, we've gotten 915, 543, 3.6K. You know, the Zdarsky one, which was 3 weeks ago, was 323. The one with the Russos directing a Batman, that's like it's nearing 10K. It's at 8.3K.
Yeah.
So like that's really good. Since then, we've had we've definitely gotten into people's more feeds, which is nice. So appreciate y'all listening. Like it's a big help. But oh shit, sorry. Let's see. All right, going on from there. I need to re-ask these questions again. Next up, we got Nathan says, which character would be the most interesting? Kid would be most interesting, is what I'm assuming. They didn't put Kid in there though. Kid of because it's in every fucking quote. Kid of Cheetah and Reverse Flash. Kid of Constantine and Zatanna. Kid of Beast Boy Raven. Kid of Lex Luthor and Amanda Waller. Kid of Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown. P.S. I put Crockett and Trentis together last time because they're a couple in SS for quite a while now. I have not been. I mean, I don't read Suicide Squad, so wow, I didn't know that. Shout out to Croc. Is Trentis hot? Are they drawing her hot right now, or is she the creepy, like, ugly looking one from Suicide Squad?
I think recently they've done the like
green
almost
suit?
the green witch suit.
Okay.
Not the creepy one, but the witch suit.
Okay. Good on you, Croc. Out of all of these, the most interesting, I would tell you the most hype is Beast Boy Raven. Everybody wants that to happen so bad.
I was gonna say, I think for me personally, the one that I would want to like actually pick up the book for and read and follow that character would be either Beast Boy Raven or Tim Drake Stephanie.
Yeah.
Just because of those two romances have been something that people have followed for a very long time, and they would probably just want to know, hey, how did this turn out?
Yeah.
You got some wild ones. I think the Constantine Zatanna one would be something people are interested in as
Yeah.
well. Probably not hit as hard.
Yeah.
Sheeta Reverse Flash is pretty wild. That would be a very interesting one. Waller and Luther, though, that
Yeah.
don't know if I could see that one happening.
That kid would be an asshole. So yeah, I don't know if I'd want any of that. But yeah, I would agree. I think Beast Boy Raven would be the hypest one. I'd probably read Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, but people are gonna hate that now because he's dating a boy. So like they'd be like, "Oh, well, you're trying to erase it," and I'm like, "He's bisexual. Like he can go back." But anyway, so yeah, that's what I would go with. We got Raphael here. I was thinking of asking how many issues do you think the Batman versus Catwoman event by Zdarsky and Howard will be, but it was already answered a couple of days ago. I've been thinking that the Batman versus Catwoman event is more to give Teenie Howard a hand with her own book than Zdarsky's own desire to explore the relationship. I mean, I don't see that there is a main intention to explore the relationship of its part, but to use it as a tool to continue exploring Zur and Raw thing. What do you think? I mean, we kind of called it.
Yeah, we kind of went on this rant right before the questions. But yeah, I don't think there is much there to like, because wasn't that the big thing when their runs started, was like, oh, this is gonna be, you know, about their relationship and, you know, seeing how we can explore that, and don't worry guys, like they'll get back together eventually, blah blah type of promises. And I think that this is another one of those, like it might be pushed by the editors, it might be pushed by DC itself, saying, hey, we need an event in this title that's going to bring people to purchase both of these books consistently.
Yeah.
And during events, fans of the characters, no matter what, no matter if it stinks or not, people will buy the books. So that's probably going to happen. But I don't expect there to be actual repercussions to this to this war, to this event whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so at all. I mean, it's just Batman's just not readable right now. I saw you make a comment in Discord about this is probably the only time in history where Batman and Spider-Man aren't readable or some shit.
Yeah.
Does Spider-Man really suck right now or what?
So spoilers, minor spoilers for because I think I knew, or I think I know what's happening in Spider-Man, but I haven't read it. I still need to catch up by 15 issues. In the most recent Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, he created something that started in the very beginning of the book as like 2 years ago. Like it had the little like time thing that said 2 years ago. Yeah. And it had Peter Parker in the Spider-Man suit with his mask off, and it looked like he was in a crater, and he said, "What did I do?" Okay. And so it implemented, or it kind of insinuated that Spider-Man did something bad. And then all of a sudden it goes back to present time. He's no longer with Mary Jane. Mary Jane has a husband with 2 kids, and people are like, what the fuck? And apparently that has been a very long stretched out story that's already gone on for 2 years, and they're finally getting maybe answers to that story right now.
Yeah.
Like, it has not been great. John Romita Jr. has been on the art for that as well. Ooh. So you're getting that also in your Spider-Man. So it's just like, man, like how do I keep up with this? Yeah. Even though I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, you know? And so I think just recently, like literally this month, there was an answer to it all. So I can't speak to that. I think I've only seen like small things, but I think like people might be getting Amazing Spider-Man the way they want to after this. But
she's made of water, and the kids are made of water too. And they evaporate. That's how the show ended.
I mean, I did not finish that show. Like I had watched it like every single time it was on as a kid.
Yeah.
But when we were still working together, was when Disney Plus like launched for the first time.
Yeah.
That was the first title that I watched from start to finish.
It gets canceled right there, doesn't it? Doesn't it stop?
Yeah. Right around that time. Yeah.
Him and
I was like,
Madam Web or whatever are going through the thing, and that's the last episode.
Yep.
Yeah. So you never know what happens to Mary Jane. I was like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Because back in the day, kids that are listening right now, when you watch these things on TV, the next episode would just repeat to the very first episode, and you would be like, huh? And for the longest time, we thought that's how anime was. Like, anime just ended. Like, Vegeta just would get his arm broken by Android 18, and then it would be back to the Raditz saga.
Dude, so many fucking times. I was just about to say,
yeah,
freaking Dragon Ball Z did it all the fucking time.
Yeah, because you imagine you saw like 1 or 2 episodes every day after school, right?
Yep.
And then that's it goes through the Raditz saga, it goes through the Saiyan saga, then it goes through and there's like a dead period, and then it goes to the Android saga. Because like Trunks shows up and whatever, and then and then it's the Android saga. So like probably like 150 episodes, 100 episodes or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And then repeat. Yep. But the day it finally continued was so fucking hype. You were like, what the fuck? Like
this is not what I've seen before.
Yeah.
Like, where's Raditz?
Yeah. Like, what? They're actually attending to Vegeta's wound? What the hell? Like, yeah, crazy shit. All right, last question that we got from Clay. Which of these would shock audiences the most? Bruce's parents are revealed to have faked their deaths to protect him. Reynolds' lantern is being in Justice League without marketing. Alfred actually dying in the Batman 2022. Scarecrow ends up killing Batman in Arkham Knight. Most shocking. I don't think Reynolds would be the most shocking. I think people would actually hate that, to be honest.
I think there would be a certain level of love for it, though. It's very weird, but I think now, like with the nostalgia, and people were like, there's the idea of like, oh, it wasn't as bad as we all thought it was, but maybe it was just the writing.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Maybe. I don't think it's the most shocking, though. The Bruce one depends on how you write it.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they have to protect him? Because, like, I just don't think that they would fake their deaths and not keep tabs on him over the next 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that would make no sense. Because also, you got to remember, he travels the world. So they could probably meet him in other parts of the world.
It would be very hard to fake their deaths for this long.
Without being assholes.
Yeah. Especially, like, we just talked about the whole thing with Gotham Year One.
Yeah.
With the implication at the end of that story being like, hey, I might be related to you type of thing. We didn't like that because it implicates that Bruce has had family this entire time and they didn't reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a fan of that. Alfred actually dying in the Batman, dude. Nobody dies in that show. Or that movie. He bombs in that universe, so that wouldn't be shocking. Maybe it would be shocking because somebody actually died. I don't know.
Well, I think people may have seen it as shocking because of the quote unquote like heartwarming moment that the hospital had.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people read that part differently. But I think that oh shit, who was it that freaking played Alfred? Golem.
No. Yeah. Oh my god, he has a unique last name. I forget. Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I don't think you waste the money on Andy Serkis just to kill him, though. That's the thing.
He didn't do much in there anyways, so they wasted money, period. I think the most shocking is if Scarecrow actually did kill Batman at the end of Arkham Knight instead of him blowing up, quote unquote, in the tower or the Wayne Manor. Because that would have been like an official death, like if he killed him. And you know what? It was a video game. You were ending the series. I wouldn't have minded. Like, it would have been shocking. I would have been like, no way. Because let's be real. Some of our favorite games have our heroes dying in them.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption. Like, that fucking
Dude.
sucks. And like, yeah, I mean, I haven't played a lot of the other ones. I don't want any spoilers. But like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's other games out there that are really popular where the main character dies.
Yeah.
Last of Us, like not the main character, but a main character.
Yeah.
So like, it's a really popular stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think those are huge, huge things. I think that would be the most shocking, in my opinion. I think that would be the most shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the last question we have, if in case I missed any, which I don't think I did. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Clay, what do you got going on this week, man?
This week I got nothing. I'm still on hiatus from my other podcast for another week or so. But if you guys could go check out Ranger Alliance and Slice of Film, because I was still editing those podcasts while they were going on in the month of May. A Slice of Film over at the Geek Ultimate Alliance, they reviewed, they're on the road to reviewing a whole bunch of Mission Impossible movies, going up to the movie that's coming out this summer, which is actually coming out in a few weeks, actually. So go check that out. They just recently dropped a Fast 10 review. They're dropping a Little Mermaid review next week. So go check all of that out. And yeah, be ready for me to come back to Star Wars Alliance on the 14th of June.
Nice. Disney really slapped all the race swapping haters in the face with the Little Mermaid movie.
Dude, it is making so much money right now.
Yeah. So anybody that's bitching about like, oh, I like the original. Apparently people don't give a fuck, which is you shouldn't. So
yeah.
They're going to remake that movie in like 5 to 10 years anyway. So they'll probably recast then. But yeah, crazy shit. Today's Wednesday. I was like, tomorrow I'll be streaming. No, I didn't even stream on Friday because I was not feeling good. So I didn't even do the Flash thing yet. I've just been hella busy. I'm finally done with all my editing work. I've been kind of relaxing these last 2 days, but I am going to be working on the new channel because I finally have like a lot of stuff that I have them in the editor. I just need to sit down and edit, which is nice. I think I will be doing that after. I'll be working on it a little bit today. And then, doing some stuff tomorrow as well. But stream should happen for sure this week on Friday. So definitely come by on that. But that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I am Juice Wayne. He is Fanboy Clay. And remember, Batman is awesome.